Well, good afternoon. And we are so excited that you're joining us this afternoon, the last session of our Journey to DU program. And really a program that I'm excited to talk to you about. It really makes one of DU unique compared to a lot of other institutions because DU has almost as many undergraduate students as we have graduate students on campus. And what that allows is for our students to be able to take advantage of a lot of undergraduate and graduate programs, sometimes in a more accelerated way. And so I have colleagues from across campus that will be joining me this afternoon to talk more about these different programs. And if this is your first session that you're joining us, we will be using the Q&A feature down at the bottom to be able to get your questions answered. So we will be answering those questions throughout the presentation. A few of those we might actually be waiting to the end of the session to actually answer live. So I am now going to turn it over to my friend Noah. And as Noah is introducing himself, I'm going to get the next PowerPoint ready.
Thank you very much, Shayna. Welcome to our little presentation. My name is Noah Schlieder. I'm an admissions counselor for the Morgridge College of Education. So we are the School of Education at the university. I'll get more into this a little bit later when I'm talking more specifically about my program, but my college is kind of unique in that we don't have any undergrad courses. We are just a graduate school. But we do offer one of these dual undergrad graduate programs. So the four of us here are going to talk about our programs, but to just give a little bit of an overview of what a dual undergrad grad program at DU means and the dual JD program. I will just give a brief overview of what those look like. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Okay, so a dual degree is generally called like a 3+1 or 3+2 or 4+1, something like that. They're all different depending on the degree. But it's something that you can, while you are a student, an undergraduate student at DU, you can apply for a graduate degree. And the benefit to these programs is that there's some sort of benefit in either tuition savings, in credit reductions, in time spent at school, some sort of savings. So there's some sort of benefit. Generally, students will apply during their junior year to these programs. There are some exceptions, and a school like DU, we really pride ourselves on giving unique experiences and individual attention. So so sometimes the junior year doesn't apply for everyone, just work with your individual program for that. Like I said earlier, there's a reduction in undergraduate electives. So these tends to be something that there will be a sharing of electives or credits, and what ends up happening is it just reduces the electives that you need for your undergraduate degree. And the programs that we have here today representing are open to all majors. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you are or what degree you are doing. Generally speaking, these programs can apply to you. There are some specific dual degree programs that apply specifically to those majors, like in Corbell, the International School, and art history. There are things like that out there, but the programs that are represented here are open to almost all majors. Let's see. And tuition. So generally there's the overlap in your senior year, and your undergrad tuition will apply for all those classes. But then once you hit the graduate program, your 5th year, then that's when graduate funding takes over. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so I will go into my program at the Morgridge College of Education. Yeah, so my program is the dual teacher education program. So this is for anyone who wants to be a teacher, essentially. We don't have, like I said before, we don't have anything for undergraduate majors. So you have to apply for this dual program. And Shana, if you can go to the next one, please. The what you end up with is the bachelor. You end up after 5 years, you get your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, and a Colorado teaching license. I want to emphasize Colorado because I know that we have a lot of out-of-state students. So if you do this program, you end up with a Colorado license. Generally speaking, they can be transferred to another state. So if you do want to go live somewhere else, you can generally transfer that. The process really depends on the state, and yeah, it really just depends on the state and the government of your state that you're going to. So students will take 9 credits. So essentially what we have as a master's program is a 52 credit hour program. And what we do is take 9 credits of those and move them to your senior year. And so you take 9 credits your senior year and then 43 credits that 5th year. And then after that 5th year, you're done. You get your bachelor's, master's teaching license. And you can see the different areas that we offer your initial license in. Elementary ed, science, math, social studies, and English. And we also just started a K through 12 special ed program that's not on there, but we do offer that as well. Okay, so next, we have the timeline. Shana, if you can go to the next slide, please. Thanks. What does this look like for an undergrad student at DU? We generally say sophomore, set up a meeting with me. You can do this your first year also, but we want to meet with you and make sure that your plan fits everything because, like I said, we give a lot of individual attention. And I've been meeting with students for about 5 years now doing this program, and it seems like every time I meet with someone, they have a different situation. Someone's graduating in 3 years, someone's doing a whole year study abroad. So there are a lot of, or someone has like a special scholarship. So we really like to meet to make sure that your plan matches up everything. We're pretty flexible and we just want to make sure that what you're doing fits with what you need to be doing. Then, like I said, your junior year, you apply. And I often get the question of like, how competitive is it when you apply for this program? It is not competitive when you're applying for this program. So I feel like a lot of students come in and they're really worried, like, what if I don't get into the teacher ed program? That's generally not a concern. So don't worry about it too much. And especially if you come and meet with us, we're happy to work with you to make sure that your application is good and everything. So it's not a guaranteed, but it's a highly likely. And then yeah, your senior year, you take 3 courses with us, and then your 5th year, you're doing your teaching, your student teaching, you're taking graduate level course education courses, and then you will be done after that 5th year with everything. Okay, last slide for me. Undergrad majors. Again, you're selecting your major. Let's say you want to be an English teacher. Well, you probably want to select something that's similar to language arts or English. So I would suggest picking a major that fits in the subject area that you want to teach. However, you don't have to. If you want to be an English teacher, you can be a math major. That's totally fine. Generally, the core curriculum will cover all the courses that you should have. But again, that comes to that counseling during your 1st or 2nd year. So it's generally you can do whatever you want. And what I always tell students is, if you really know you want to be a teacher, that can be your first option. Well, what's your second option? Test that out. You have those first 3 years to really test out well, maybe I do want to go into business or something. Test that out. See if you like it. If not, that's fine. We'll take you gladly. So we're flexible. Study abroad, absolutely. You can study abroad. uh, yeah, you could definitely do that. And graduating early, a lot of students want to graduate in 3 years. If you do want to go in that 3 year route, the dual degree probably won't fit. But we have this 1 year master's program that could fit in place of it. So you could, uh, I've had some students graduate in 3 years, do the 1 year teacher program, and then in 4 years they have their bachelor's, master's, and teaching license. So it's always up there too. So um, that is it. Let me see if there are any specific questions. Oh, so financial aid and scholarships. Mackenzie, it looks like you were going to answer that.
I think we might hold that till the end. We just wanted to make sure that everyone has a chance for how it differs for each of the programs to answer Luca's question. So we will get to it. Just let's go through the rest of the programs first.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. And I'm going to pass it off to Karen.
Hi there. I'm Karen Benson, and I'm a associate professor of the practice of social work in the Graduate School of Social Work at DU. I am also the coordinator of our dual degree programs, which means I do all the coordinating efforts between the different programs because we have a bunch of different offerings. And I also advise all of our dual degree students. So you would be my advisee if you decided to go forward with this. Next slide, please. Our program is called the 3+2. Some of the other ones that you're hearing about today are 4+1. 3+2 means that you complete 3 years of your undergraduate, and then in your 4th year, you would start with us and do 2 years of a master's program with us. So therefore 3+2. So we ask students who are interested in doing this dual degree, dual undergraduate, graduate degree, to work with their advisors really carefully in their undergraduate program to make sure that they complete all of their undergraduate requirements for their core requirements, their majors and their minors, whatever they may be, by the time they reach 153 credits. Most of the degree programs at the undergraduate level are 183 credits. So 30 credits you don't have to do. 30 credits of elective credits are left. So, so you should complete approximately 153 credits in your first 3 years. That's going to differ a little bit depending on how many credits you might come into the college with or the university with. You may have some transfer credits from high school. You might have some from another institution. And if that's the case, that might alter things a bit and we need to talk. So you would plan to apply to the Graduate School of Social Work between October and January, could be a little later than that, of your junior year prior to completing 135 credits. You don't need to do a GRE, and no transcripts are needed since it's an internal application. Okay, next slide, please. So here's what the pathway looks like. 30 credits of your undergraduate electives will be fulfilled by GSSW coursework in your 4th year, which would have been your senior year of your undergrad, but is actually your 1st year with the MSW program. So you would graduate with your undergraduate degree at the end of year 4 or at the end of year 1 of your MSW program. You will be required to do 81 credits for your MSW degree in both your 4th and 5th years. And you would graduate then at the end of year 5 with your MSW. So as I said before, anybody who's coming to DU with some prior credits from another institution or high school might have a slightly different trajectory. And I'm finding that that's happening more and more. recently in the last few years that things have gotten a little bit more complicated with students and maneuvering through this dual undergraduate graduate degree program. I always welcome students to reach out to me if they have questions and want to make sure that they're on the right path to be able to apply to the program. It's not assured that you would be accepted, but again, like with what Noah offered, I'm always happy to work with students who are really interested and really set on doing this, and help make sure that your application is a good one. The other opportunity is that we offer one undergraduate class in our at the Graduate School of Social Work, and that is the Introduction to Social Work. That's a really great class to take early on, freshman, sophomore year, a little late in your junior year, I'd say, but still possible. And it'll give you kind of a taste of what social work is all about, so that you can determine whether it's something that you're really wanting to do or not. Another possibility would be to check out the National Association of Social Workers website. That's nasw.org. And there you'll find a lot of information about the profession, along with the code of ethics for the profession. And I always encourage students to look that over to get a good idea about whether or not social work is a good field of practice for them. Next slide. I think that was my last one. Great. Well, I will pass this over to Mackenzie.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mackenzie Moeller. I am one of the undergraduate advisors in the Daniels College of Business, and I am really excited to talk with you about our new 4+1 programs. These actually just launched this fall. So if you have been attending DU sessions for a little while and you haven't heard about this, it's new. So I will explain what we have. Shana, can you go to the next slide, please? So what we offer is a 4+1, and as we've said, each of these programs has a different name, but we mean that in the sense of you finish your undergrad degree in 4 years, and then in your 5th year, you can complete a Master of Science in one of the 5 disciplines that are listed here. I do want to note, if you've heard of our Master of Accountancy as being available as a 4+1 program, we do still have that one as well. It's just that that program is only available for students who are an undergraduate accounting major. Sorry, that's my cat. And these 5 Masters of Science programs would be available for students who are in any major at DU. So that's why we're highlighting those today. I also do want to take a second to explain why our MBAs are not part of our 4+1 portfolio, because we do get that question a lot. When people think about graduate school for business, they usually think of an MBA first, but an MBA is really meant for someone who has about 5 to 10 years of work experience and is trying to pivot in their career into more of a leadership type role. What we're trying to focus on here is a program that would be better suited to someone coming right out of undergrad that's really going to help prepare you for the beginning of your career. And so a Master of Science is going to give you a deep dive into one specific discipline instead of a broad overview of the business field like an MBA would. Next slide, please. So what are the different benefits of doing a 4+1 with Daniels? So the first one, as I mentioned, is that you can do this with any undergraduate major. We do get students who are interested in business and another field. Say you want to study the liberal arts as an undergrad. I myself was an English major. You want to have those critical thinking skills, but you also want to have some specific business skills so that you're ready to launch and work in a career. This can be a way for you to combine these interests and have a really strong skill set at the end of 5 years. We do encourage you to do your undergraduate major and your graduate degree in 2 different disciplines so that you have that depth of experience and knowledge in 2 different areas. So you wouldn't want to combine, say, an undergraduate degree in marketing with a graduate degree in marketing. However, if you do something like an undergraduate degree in marketing paired with a master's in business analytics, you would be really highly qualified to step into a marketing research role or something like that at graduation. You are able to take up to 20 total credits, which is about 5 classes before you finish your undergraduate degree that will count towards your graduate degree, which allows you to finish your graduate degree faster than if you were doing each of the programs on their own. We also have a credit reduction like the other programs that applies to your undergraduate electives. And electives are the space where you kind of play around with different interests. So that's usually where your minors go. That might be where study abroad goes. So you'll want to play with your advisor as far as what would be the best use of those elective credits. And what this program allows you to do is take some of those credits and apply them to your graduate degree so that you can finish faster. Maybe in lieu of doing a business minor as an undergrad, you pursue a 4+1 with the business graduate degree in that same space. You do still have to complete all of your other undergraduate requirements, the Common Core, your major, and your minor requirements in order to graduate. Next slide, please. So I do want to give an example because this can be a little convoluted. Say that you were pursuing an undergraduate degree in communication studies, which is one of our Bachelor of Arts majors. You would need 183 credits to graduate normally. And so if you were applying for a graduate program just on its own after completing your undergraduate degree in 4 years, the Master of Science in Marketing, for example, is 45 credits. So together, those 2 degrees would require 228 hours and 5 total years. However, if you apply through this 4+1 route and reduce your undergraduate credits by 12, that basically saves you a quarter because you can start your graduate work in your senior year and only need 216 total credits to complete both degrees together. So you might even be able to finish, say, in winter quarter of your 5th year instead of staying all the way through the 5th year. Most of our master's degrees can be completed in about a year or maybe like a year and a quarter. So if you aren't able to apply through the 4+1 pathway, you are still able to pursue one of our graduate degrees in a pretty short time frame after your undergraduate degree. Next slide, please. So I just want to briefly mention our requirements in order to apply as a 4+1 student. You do need to have a 3.5 cumulative GPA at the time of your application. And if you are a business major, we also want you to have a 3.25 GPA in all the classes that you've taken through the Daniels College of Business. You apply during your junior year, as you do with all programs. So like we've been saying, the main thing is planning ahead with us so that we can map out when you would be eligible to apply and work with you on how that would look for your specific program. Next slide, please. So if you're interested in this, nothing about your schedule at DU is going to change during your first 2 years. So it's great that you know this now, but also keep in mind, you're still in high school. You have a lot of things to be sorting out with starting your college career. So it's great that you might know you're interested in graduate school. You don't have to worry about that affecting your first quarter at DU. So this summer, as we're starting our registration process for your fall classes, you can register for the fall quarter just like any other undergraduate student. Wait till you kind of figure out, how DU works. But as soon as you're ready to talk about this, the first step, depending on what your major is meeting with your major advisor to map out a full 4-year graduation plan so that we know how much elective space we have to work with. If you're a business major, you'll work with me or one of my colleagues. If you're a non-business major, you'll meet with your academic advisor for your major and then come meet with me and bring that 4-year plan so that we can look at it and say, okay, if you study abroad but don't have the minor, can we make this work? Or does it make more sense for you to apply as a traditional student without applying through the 4+1 pathway? I do have our email address on the screen, daniels.undergrad@du.edu. So anytime you're ready to talk about this, you can reach out to that email address. And I do see that there's a question about studying international business and international law. We don't have a Master of Science in International Business. However, you could do an undergraduate degree in international business paired with a different Master of Science. There is, and Noah's probably going to laugh at me, I think there is a combination MBA law school degree that we offer. Very few students do that, but you would be able to talk with us about those different options when you're here at DU, and we can look and see what would work best for you. Now I will turn it over to Noah.
That's a great segue, actually. Thank you. Yes, there is a dual MBA JD program that would be only as a graduate student, so you can't apply to that to have your bachelor's into this. My name is Noah Castor. There's another I'm the admissions coordinator at the law school, Sturm College of Law, and I'm here to talk about our dual degree 3+3 program, which is also called our 6-year bachelor JD. Next slide, please. The biggest things that you should know about our program, oh, sorry about that, is that we have some different requirements. So we do have 2 application timelines. You can apply in your freshman year after you've been, or as a high school senior right now, as you've been accepted. However, we're not test optional, meaning you would need to take the ACT or SAT in order to apply for the law school now. And then you can also apply during your junior year, as with the other programs. Both of these, or especially the freshman year one, is a conditional admission. And I will go through what that means in just a moment. Next slide, please. All right, so this is for conditional admissions, meaning if you were thinking of applying to law school now, you've been admitted to DU undergrad and you're thinking moving forward. You need to submit an application pretty soon, by April 1st, and that includes the application form, personal statement, and the resume. Again, you then need to interview. We don't typically do interviews, but because this is a conditional admission, we do need to make sure that you're actually cut out for this program and that it will work. Then, again, the conditional admission, we hold you to some very high standards to be admitted as a incoming first-year student to undergrad into the law school afterwards. So you will need to achieve an undergraduate GPA that is a full 0.1 higher and an LSAT score that is a full point higher than our medians that we publish. For example, this year, our median undergraduate GPA is a 3.55, meaning that if you were applying to this program, you would need to have at least a 3.65. And with the LSAT, we currently have a 159 as our median. You would need to score at least a 160, but this will depend on the year that you are actually doing this. So again, that would be what at your junior year, you would be looking at those numbers to compare yourself to. The next thing, similar to the other ones. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. There's a question. What does the JD stand for? The JD stands for the Juris Doctor, which is similar to a master's. It's its own category of degree. It is the law degree that allows you to practice law as a lawyer. There are some other law degrees that you can pursue, but the JD, the Juris Doctor, is the only one that allows you to become an attorney and represent clients in the courtroom. So thank you. Sorry about that. You do need to complete all requirements for your major and the common curriculum by the end of junior year. So similar to the other programs, you need to save all your elective credits for senior year because you're actually going to dual enroll undergrad and law school for that year. You also need to maintain good standing with the university and stay out of trouble. If there is any evidence of an offense, we do need to hear about it, and we'll have a discussion about that. So yes. Let me check the Q&A real quick to make sure I'm not missing anything else. Okay, go ahead. Next slide, please. All right, so if you decide you don't want to apply as an incoming student, but want to apply during your junior year, you need to take the LSAT no later than December of your junior year and submit an application that January, by January 10th. We will then also ask for an interview because, again, we would be admitting you before you have a bachelor's degree, which is typically a requirement to apply to this program. You'll need to complete all the requirements, again, by the end of junior year, and we do suggest doing a full degree audit with your academic advisor to make sure that you are on track to meet those requirements. And then, of course, maintain good standing at the university. Next slide, please. This is the contact info. I really suggest that if you're at all interested in this program, you contact us because there are some other differences that I didn't mention yet. First and foremost, we're on the semester system. All of the other programs we've discussed today are on the quarter system. So this changes your timeline up, and it changes up when you're going to be taking classes and things like that. Similar to the financial question before, finances will get weird as well because of that quarter versus semester difference, and that first year of law school / senior year of undergrad is a very interesting situation because of the tuition that you're in grad school, but also undergrad, figuring out where the bills go and all those types of things. So we do suggest you contact us directly if you do have any questions about this, and we can set up a time to chat with you about exactly what you need to do. So yeah, I think I'm the last one. which means we're on to the Q&A section. We did have at least a couple come in. The primary one was about the finances, which we addressed. So I have a question. If someone is thinking of doing the 3+3 JD, but in year 4, they decide to graduate with an undergraduate degree, yes. So if you had applied to do the 3+3 program, meaning that you apply now and are conditionally admitted to join our program, but then as you go through undergrad, you decide, you know what, I really want to stay in undergrad for all 4 years, that's totally fine. You will have to reapply for admission as a regular student, but that's totally fine, and it's not going to count against you if you decide to stick it out in undergrad and experience that senior year. Good question.
Should we all go through and answer Luca's initial question? Sorry to make you wait, Luca. I just wasn't sure if that would be different for everyone as far as how the financial aid and scholarship piece would work. I can say for Daniels, it's all part of one application. When you submit your graduate school application, you're also being considered for scholarships at that same time. So you would know your scholarship package at the time that you would be receiving your admission decision and deciding whether you wanted to pursue the.
That's also true in the graduate school social work, that those offers are made along with the admittance process. Of course, separate from that is your FAFSA, the federal financial aid package that you apply for separately.
Same for the teaching dual program. So when you apply and if you are admitted, you will receive a scholarship at that time. And just for like a frame of reference, I know like graduate school might be very foreign at this time when you're thinking about undergrad school. For the teacher program, for that 5th year, it's roughly about $32,000 for tuition. It can change, and of course, in 4 or 5 years from now, it'll definitely be different. But that's just like a rough idea of how much the tuition costs for the 1 year with our program, and it really changed. It's different for each program and each school, so it's very individual. But I just wanted to give some sort of landmark.
I also wanted to clarify that the undergraduate tuition in financial aid does not carry over. So when you are applying to these graduate programs, and as I mentioned, then you then apply for graduate scholarships and graduate financial aid, you are crossing this invisible barrier of undergraduate to graduate. And so these are 2 different programs. What's unique about them is their acceleration and typically in nature. And so the benefit is that you are saving a year or so of your education. So that's where a lot of the savings happen, and the benefit of doing a dual degree program at the same institution.
I'm going to take Karen's question real quick. What if you weren't able to take the SAT or ACT this year due to cancellations? Unfortunately, that means you would not be able to apply for conditional admission as a recently admitted DU undergrad, but you can apply during your junior year for that same program. The conditional admission is just for students that know in advance and have met those requirements, but the test, it is not test optional, so unfortunately we can't waive that. Yeah, I understand the circumstances, the pandemic and all that, but there still were tests and we are still requiring it as of right now. So if that does change, we will certainly try and let you know. But when you apply in junior year, you'll have to take the LSAT anyway. So you haven't missed the window. You'll still have an opportunity to apply for the 3+3 program during your junior year.
And I'll take that the question with the AP dual enrollment. So I'm assuming that you're coming in with lots of credits already, and that's we get a lot of students like that, and it really depends. For example, if you were to come to our program and you're saying that you want to graduate in 3 years, great. We'll try to figure out a way that you could still just tack on that 1 year to get your master's. And from what I've heard with other panelists, that's probably you could still make it work, that you're just adding on the 1 year and still getting your master's.
If I can just add on to that, what I was going to say is a lot of the AP credits might be helping you fulfill your Common Core requirements. So say you took, AP language and you have credit going towards the writing sequence, or say you took AP history and you have credit going towards the humanities requirement. Those are, less classes that you'll have to complete in your undergraduate, total time. But the real thing that depends is how many electives you still need, because that's what's reduced for all of these programs. So there are some AP classes that come in as electives. For instance, if you do like environmental science, that's an elective, or if you take language, that comes in as an elective. So when you're working with any of us, it's not just that you have dual enrollment credits or AP credits, it's what are your remaining requirements from where you are to get you to graduation, and how much flexibility do we have in those remaining credits to fit in the graduate courses so that the 4+1 or 3+2 or 3+3 is still beneficial for you. So it's a very individualized conversation, which is why we're all very excited to meet with you individually to see how it would work for you.
And I just want to add on one more thing about that I feel a lot of students have this like stigma of, I have to do this dual program. Sometimes the dual doesn't benefit you at all, and you could just do a regular master's program and it's even better for you. So sometimes a lot of conversations I have, we just say, we're not going to do the dual, you're just going to do the regular master's program, and you're totally fine, and it's even better. So don't like get caught up in that term like you have to do this dual.
Some students also wonder if they can still study abroad in that junior year, and lots of DU students do. I saw the slide that said 75% of our undergraduate students study abroad, and that's still possible to do with at least with our 3+2 program. Again, you just have to plan carefully, because you'll need to probably have whatever program you decide to do in your study abroad. You'll have to make sure that you can fulfill some of your required courses while you're there, so they're not eating up all these electives that would eventually be waived for you if you did the 3+2 or 4+1 programs.
I see two questions about the ACT, SAT, like medians and requirements. I am not 100% sure, so I'm going to ask you, I'm going to type in the directly. Could you pull up the contact info one more time? I just like if they could email me directly, and I can get back to you on Monday with those numbers. I don't have them in front of me. I apologize. I should have been better prepared for that question. But you see my name here, Noah Kester. My email is just nkester@law.du.edu. There it is, the bottom one here. So just send me an email directly, and I'll get back to you Monday about that. It is a very rare process that this goes through. More often than not, we do see students kind of do what someone mentioned, where they end up doing the full 4 years of undergrad and then applying after the fact. We have 2 or 3 students a year max that do the 3+3 program, either from conditional admission as a recently admitted undergrad or as a junior year applicant to this program. It's not to say we discourage it, but it's just very challenging to do. It's very rigorous, and it takes away from your undergraduate experience at least a little bit. So more often than not, we do see students that do attend DU undergrad and still want to attend Denver Law end up just applying as a regular student after the fact. But I will certainly check that for you and get back to you on Monday if you can send me an email. Thank you.
Waiting. Awkward silence. I did want to maybe something that we didn't really talk about, because I know that it is hard to straddle the logistics of these programs, but then also understanding maybe some of the benefits of these programs for an undergraduate student to talk about. So I want also students to realize that the ones that are on the programs that we're highlighting right now are not actually all of the programs that we offer dual degree. We have these programs highlighted because you can be any major and consider to apply to these programs. We have additional programs For example, international studies, which offers a dual degree program, but you have to be an international studies undergraduate student. Same with art. Art history has a program. We also have some programs that you might want to consider. They're called our global master's programs, where you get your undergraduate 3 years here, and then you study abroad for a year and you stay at that institution and you get a master's degree at that institution. We have several partnerships. All of those partnerships are with top 100 ranked in the world institutions. So these are definitely not all the options that the university offers, but they are the ones that we think are the most appropriate for high school students to be thinking at this point. But as a high school student, I was wondering if each of our panelists can talk about what's your 30-second spiel? Like, why would a student consider your program? They may not be as familiar with your grad program as maybe they understand our undergrad program. Noah, in education, do you want to start first?
You all are lucky. You have 2 Noahs in this panel, and I'm sure we're the only 2 professional staff Noahs in the whole university. So my spiel about the teacher ed program is that we are very, very, I'm sure that you've heard the term inclusive excellence or diversity, equity, and inclusion many times throughout the programming this week. Our teacher program really walks the walk with how we train teachers to go out and change the way education has been treated for decades and decades. So the teachers that come out of our program are very well prepared for the changing environment in education moving forward. And it's logistically, it's a 1-year master's program, so we can really speed through while giving still a fantastic education. So you can get your master's very quickly and your teaching license and you have the great credentials of a master's license, and you get the great experience teaching.
Thank you. And we'll move to Karen.
Yeah. I'm such a proud social worker. Social work is kind of an identity as well as a profession. And we also have a very strong social justice sort of focus to our curriculum. The profession itself is very steeped in social justice. It's different from other helping professions in that social workers work with clients in the context of their environment. So rather than working with people in their heads only, we're working with people in the context of the environment that they're in. So and we use a strengths perspective. So person environment, strengths perspective, and a strong social justice frame for everything that we do. It is a professional degree. So in 2 years, you become an MSW, and then 2 years after that, you're eligible for licensure after you've had a certain number of hours of practice in the field that's supervised. So it's a pretty structured process to get to that license point. And the other thing I'll say about it is that we work with individuals, groups, and communities. So that micro, meso, and macro level. There's a lot of social workers out there who are legislators and community organizers and at the more policymakers at the more macro level, and then working in schools or hospitals or residential treatment at that more meso level, and then working with individuals, doing private practice work, therapy. So there's so many different things that you can do with this degree. It's one of those degrees that you can get and change jobs every few years for the rest of your life, and always be prepared with it with the degree that you have.
Go over to Mackenzie.
All right. So the Daniels College of Business is definitely a strong place to study business. You may have heard of it. nationally, we also just got ranked this past week. I believe the news came out that we're now in the top 50 programs for undergraduate business across the country. So we're really excited about that. And I think the thing that makes Daniels such a strong community and a great place to be a student is the faculty. Our faculty often have experience in industry and bring that to the classroom. Our students are always working on real case studies. They have clients who come in and bring their business to the class, and the class acts as consultants in helping them solve real business challenges. We have faculty who bring in guest speakers frequently, and we have an excellent career services team who is within Daniels 100% focused on helping you be job ready on day one. So we have professional development coursework all through our undergraduate business curriculum. That being said, all of that also translates to the graduate programs. I'm an undergraduate advisor, so I'm a little biased towards the undergraduate programs, but we have this 4+1 opportunity so that no matter what you study as an undergrad, if it's outside of Daniels and maybe you take a business minor or learn in your junior or senior year that you have an internship and suddenly you realize you're interested in finance and you didn't know that before, this is an opportunity for you to tap into that great Daniels network, the alumni connections that we have, our career services, and get that job skill so that you can go out and start working in any industry and have a really well, diversified and qualified background for whatever you want to pursue after your time at DU.
Noah.
Back to me. So I would say the biggest things similar to what Noah and Karen were discussing, we also have social justice, steeped into our curriculum. So even if you come in wanting to work in corporate business, you're still going to have to remember that social justice is a thing and be aware of what that means in the legal field. Our program is ranked in the top 10 in the nation. Excuse me, not top 10, top 100, but we have 3 programs in the top 10 in the nation, and they're all practical skill programs. So our program is very much a hands-on practical program where we want you to leave Denver Law feeling confident in the skills that you built. There's kind of 2 major camps for law schools, and those are theoretical and experiential, and we definitely hinge on the experiential side. Not that we shift away from the theoretical, but we have what's called the live client guarantee, which guarantees our students an opportunity to work with a live client before they graduate. We have clinics and externships, as well as some advocacy programs that you can get involved with, all of which involve getting involved with your community. And that's part of the social justice aspect. No matter what you choose to focus in, we have a couple different areas. We want you to be confident in the tangible skills that you build. So if you do choose, if law is a career that you're interested in, please keep Denver Law in your thoughts, as we have some really, really great opportunities for you to build your skills before you graduate law school, so that when you enter that first position, you know what you're already good at and you know what you need to continue working on.
Well, and I really appreciate all of your time today. And I think that one of the biggest takeaways that I would want students and families to have after this, all the sessions hopefully today, is that DU is really meant to help students explore. We do not expect you to know what you're going to do for the next 50 years. None of us on this call, including these panelists, this may not be our last job. In fact, we expect you to have 10 different jobs by the time you retire. It could be in 3 completely unrelated fields. There's no such thing as when you grow up, that it doesn't end. And DU is really founded in the idea of interdisciplinary and liberal arts and exploring, and you don't need to know now, even with law, because even law has a program that you can wait right until your junior year at DU to decide what you want to do. You do not feel the pressure that you need to make a plan for the next 50 years, but that at DU, you have the opportunities to explore many different paths, and that it can happen your freshman year, it can happen your senior year, and it can happen 20 years after you graduate from undergraduate. And then maybe DU would be an option for you then. So thank you for all of your questions that have come in. And panelists, again, thank you for your time. And I hope you all have a great day. I did want to selfishly plug one more set of events that are happening next week with our Leadership and Success Week. We'll be highlighting programs for the Pioneer Leadership Program, the honors program, the living and learning communities, the Colorado Women's College Leadership Program, Excelling Leaders, One Gen U, eSTEM. So some really great programs. So we hope that you continue this conversation. And if you have any questions, just give us a call. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.